I do too. See today she's
Okay.
Okay, I was confused on the two, looking at the wrong one.
I think Pat did well.
I don't know if Pat or Jeremy or who did that.
Well, I'll tell you what, as soon as he got up, Pat sent me a text and showed me a picture.
But the audience can see, and then those two I don't know how they could have a better subject. Yeah.
That was wrong last month when I came in and I switched it. Who switched it back? I know, but it was wrong last month and I switched it. Is it, somebody switched it back? Was it switched again? Yes. It was switched last month and I switched it back.
So I look maybe he was working.
Who keeps switching it?
Back at you.
No, good job.
Exactly what you're asking.
It's Jeremy's fault. Okay, can you hear me? You got the mic? Got it going? Okay. All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order this regular business meeting of the Stephenville City Council here at 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, July the 5th, 2016, and welcome everyone tonight to our meeting. We're going to start tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States flag, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the Texas flag. So if you'll please stand and join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, this evening we've got Kirk Plaxico here, pastor of the Stephenville Church of Nazarene, that'll provide our invocation. So, Kirk?
Thank you, sir. Mayor and City Council, citizens of Stephenville, it is my privilege to offer this invocation on behalf of the Stephenville Ministers Alliance. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask you to guide these proceedings tonight. We need your presence in our city. Would you bring peace in any turmoil and light to the dark places? May you bring knowledge, wisdom, and discernment to the decisions that need to be made on behalf of our city. Please give our leaders creativity to think outside the box and the strength to do the hard things for the good of our city. Help our citizens have the grace to care for one another in order to make this a better place. And Lord, help us all to be humble. Help us humble ourselves under your mighty hand so you may move on our benefit. Bless our schools, our college, our industry. Bless the city of Stephenville. It's in Jesus' name we ask these things. Amen.
Amen. All right, I want to, before we go on, I just want to thank Kurt on behalf of the council for your leadership in the community, your leadership of the Ministerial Alliance. Faith in our community is so important, and your willingness to lead that group and that effort to help support the council is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much. All right, we've got a special proclamation tonight that we want to offer to recognize National Parks and Recreation Month, and we've invited some very important folks to the meeting tonight to recognize a group that spends a lot of hours working on the benefit of the community with Mr. Jeremy Allen in support of the Recreation and Parks program for our community. Let me begin by reading the proclamation, and then you'll hear the names, and we'll call them forward to recognize their efforts. whereas Parks and Recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including Stephenville, and our Parks and Recreation are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our community, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of the community and region. And whereas Parks and Recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreational services, and improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas the Park and Recreation programs increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas we recognize the contributions of the Stephenville Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, Cheryl Hatton, Dennis Jones, Jason Latouche, Contessa Harrison, Darren Trussell, Carrie Strohmeyer, Colby Pack, and the many parks and recreation professionals in the community. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Kenny Weldon, Mayor of the City of Stephenville, do hereby proclaim July 16th as National Parks and Recreation Month, and encourage all citizens to recognize and enjoy our parks and recreation programs as a place for fun, physical health, and social function for all ages and abilities. I know we've got, I think we've got the board here tonight. If you'd come forward, please, and let me give you, on behalf of the council, a copy of the proclamation. It's like a line up here. So thank you. All right, Mr. Chairman, why don't you get on one side there? We'll get here. Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's give him a hand. All right, before you leave, Darren, just a second. Yeah, see? So you got caught. He's out the door.
Yeah, he's already gone.
He got it? He's come back. Come back in here just a second. On a personal note, yesterday was a fabulous time in our community. The celebration that took place there could not have happened the way it did if it weren't for the results of the efforts that y'all make as a committee, and how that the display of patriotism in our community and a sense of community and belonging is I mean, it is just all over, and vibrant and exciting, and a wonderful time to celebrate why this community is so special. So I know we all enjoyed the day off, but to be able to come together and gather as a community in a place like that just really makes it special. So thank all of you very much again for your efforts. So thanks. And while we're on that, there was a lot of great work by the police department, the fire department, the entire city staff. Jeremy, I love to drive a Gator, Alan. Cindy, get in line, city council, Stafford. But it truly was a great day. And it is one of the things that make this community so special. So we ought to be reminded of that. And you know, we talked about this last year when we had the committee that kind of organized the events in the park, and what a better way for things to come together for citizens in the community to say, you know, we're going to make a difference, and they did. And so it's just really, really special. So thank y'all. All right, Darren, just don't tear the door up when you leave this time. Okay. All right, thanks. All right, now we have time for citizens' general discussion on the agenda. If anyone would like to come forward, I've got one item that I got from Donna. If you want to state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Donna Wesson. I live at 1325 Lydia here in town, and I am a retired teacher. I did not fully realize all this was going to be going on with the Parks and Recreation when I decided to do this. And I have a long story to tell, and you've limited me to 3 minutes, so I'm going to talk fast. Because I am a teacher, I knew a great many children. And over the years, things have happened to those children, but it seems like lately it's been bad. And I decided a couple of years ago that flowers at funerals were not going to work for me. And so I decided that I wanted to plant a tree. Set out to figure out how to do that. When you don't know what you're doing, you know, you sort of have to ask questions. I got permission from Matt Underwood to plant a tree on the school grounds, but it was going to have to be behind secured gates at Gilbert at the Butterfly Garden. Behind secured gates means somebody has to go through all the procedures to get there. So then somebody said, call the city. I called the city. They directed me to Jeremy Allen. I cannot tell you how much help this gentleman was. I found a tree. Jeremy said, I'll take care of it. Where do you want it? He even went with me down to the park to find a place that we thought would be acceptable. Planted one there in the name of Tim Hale. I now have 3 more to plant. Sorry, I didn't tell you about that third one. 3 more to plant because of recent deaths of our children. So I wanted to make a public thank you to Jeremy for his help. He's a great guy when you're in trouble and you need help.
All right, great, thank you very much. All right, any other citizens' general discussion items for tonight? Okay, if not, we'll proceed then to the Erath County Humane Society report. And Diane McCoy.
I'll get on the Jeremy Allen show here. Mayor, Council, my name is Matt Harpo. I'm the president of the Erath County Humane Society, and I'm here today with Diane McCoy. She's our shelter director to give the yearly report on the state of the shelter. You probably really haven't heard much about the shelter in the last year because they've been doing such a great job over the last year turning it completely around. I don't know if any of y'all have recognized it, but I wanted at this time to address what a great job she's doing. Here in a second, I'll let her give a shelter report for you, but I wanted to talk to you about what we've done as a board, starting the low-cost microchip program. We've been operating in the positive for over a year. We've done that by raising the adoption fees, raising the surrender fees, and keeping good records of all transactions. And that's something that really wasn't done over the past 20 years that we could find any records of. We put in your pamphlet there all of last year's numbers, and it really started about April. That's when Diane came aboard, and we started taking an accurate count of everything. That's something that we are living by to this day. We have something going up on our county-wise through the April of this year, but we're looking forward to seeing the yearly average for all of 16. I think it's going to be some numbers that we can really present to y'all. At this time, I'll get her to talk to you a little bit about what's going on out there and some of the reports of the shelter.
I'm Diane McCoy, if you don't know me, so I'm the dog lady. I think all of you got a copy of the annual report from last year. And you can see we were on the shelter before, well, I guess toward the end of March, we went on a computer system. Prior to that, it was all paper records. And we tried to compile all those paper records and fill in that first quarter of information, but it's sketchy. So April going forward, we know everything's been put in, intakes, adoptions, reclaims. So April going forward, it should be relatively accurate as opposed to the first quarter of the year. But you can see the trending is how much more intakes have been coming in. Surrenders, I think we've regained the trust of the community, I think, and people are bringing more surrenders to us than they did in the past because so our numbers are growing vastly. Our reclaims are going up. We started using social media where we post all of our stray animals, animals for adoption, animals that have been adopted. We started utilizing rescue groups, fosters, volunteers, community service workers. We utilize a lot of those people to kind of get the word out in the community. So a lot of our numbers are going up as far as reclaims and adoptions because of the help we pull in from the community and using social media. Our adoptions have gone up. I mean, you can see all the numbers. If y'all have any questions about those, feel free to ask. And kind of throwing in a nutshell, picturing back to our daily, we have a daily in-house, like when we go in the morning, okay, here's how many animals are here today. Well, we do know in January of 2015, we do feel pretty accurate that on January the 1st, we had 19 animals in the shelter. Today, we have 143, and that's over a 700% increase. And our monthly stats for intakes and in-house animals, in January of 2015, we had 69. June of 2016, we have 289, and our annual average is 278. So we're keeping over 400% more animals out there than we did in the past. So still in the same small space, and we have added some outside kennels to try to break. It used to just be 3 great big yards. Well, we try to add kennels so that we can stop dog fights and segregate animals that might be sick or aggressive and work with those. So, but it's still the same space and the same, we have 51 kennels total. And today, just before I left, I was running a little bit late. Today I had to wait and I took in my 100th dog. We have 100 dogs out there today. So we are covered up and we need some help. So I'm gonna turn it
You have
back to
any
Matt
questions
for a
on
summary.
the report or any insight about that?
Yeah, the amount of animals, the increase that you were speaking to, since when has that happened roughly? Could you give me a date when you noticed that, the increase?
Well, you can, like if you look on the report, you can see in March, the numbers start going up. And then in April, they're consistently going. We had really high months we have high months in the summer. A lot of it, I think, is students move and they abandon their animals.
Okay.
We usually get pretty
Because my
good
next
results.
question was, what would be driving that, so to speak? So,
I think part of it is people knowing we're there now. People think that they can bring them to us now, and we have people that are coming out there now, and we're full. I mean, we just got through putting our 100th dog in a cat crate, and we said, we're full. Can you keep this dog for a couple of days? Do we get some room? No, I'll just turn it out in the parking lot, or I'm going to go down to Hardy and let it out. So they're throwing them over the fence. So they're bringing them to us, and we're finding another hole somewhere to put them. So yeah, I don't know what drove it to go up that drastically, unless it was faith in the community that we're there now, or word of mouth that the shelter's taking animals now. I wish I knew the answer, then we could solve the problem maybe.
well, thank you.
We're pretty much not, the reputation it had was through the other programs that are in town is we're more of a kill shelter, and that's not the case anymore at all. And with that, we run into bigger hurdles, bigger problems. And Jimmy, you can start that. This is what we had going on during the last flood. We had 16 new kennels put outside, and with those kennels, we stacked 2 and 3 dogs. Well, when the water, this is one side, with the water coming up like it is, there's no way we could have left those dogs out there, especially in the driving rain. So we bring all of those dogs into our existing building. And that, I don't know if this would be like having a 2-bedroom house and bringing 60 of your in-laws and your family members in with you. It's not gonna work out that great. So we run into a lot of issues when that happens, and this is not a problem that's going away. Diane's husband actually went out there himself. Leon, he volunteers like crazy out there, did a French drain, and that only helped so much. We're just looking at all the problems we have, and with the continued growth that Erath County, the city of Stephenville, and Tarleton's having, this problem is not gonna go away. And I know that we had talked to Chief King about getting in the capital plan about locating us a new facility. And we're pleading if there's any possible way we can possibly move that up to fix some of these problems, because we want to keep the reputation that we are trying to do what's best for the community and not become a kill shelter. And the average of the kill was 80% in most facilities. The national average, we're running at 13% right now. We're adopting it out. We're doing a lot of different good things that is what we're here to do. But at the same time, we need to get the help coming so we can see a light at the end of the tunnel, because it's been an issue for the last, this whole season has been really tough on us. It's not just a spring issue anymore with the rains we've had through May and June. So as time goes on, Chief King and I talked about going with Diane around to some of the neighboring communities, Hood County, Somerville County, Mineral Wells has a great facility, trying to look at all of those and trying to develop a plan so whenever we do have something come into action, we're ready to go. And when we have this plan, it's going to be for our officers that bring in the animals. We'll have like a Sally Park system like they do at the jail right now, so there's not a chance. Right now they're having to unload in the parking lot, and it's pretty rough dogs we have come in there a lot of times. So our 13% are probably some of the unadoptable dogs, the fighting dogs and different things that we don't feel safe enough to adopt out to a family with kids. So even those numbers are kind of skewed, but we're putting in a video system so that way we'll be able to see some of the people that are dumping dogs across the fence, and also have proof whenever somebody says, why did you put our dog down? It's because they were biting the officer, they were biting everybody that's coming in. So a lot of the good things that are coming in is going to help our whole system go forward. So, y'all have any other questions?
Any questions for?
We would encourage anybody, I know Sherry comes out to visit me fairly often, but anyone that would like to come out and if you've ever been to the shelter before, like in years past, and come out and look and see, the improvements we have made with what we've got. I mean, I'd love to just show you all around and let you get a upfront glance at what we're dealing with. So.
We poured concrete. We've done as much as we want to do, because it's not going to fix the overcrowding situation. So we made more kennels, poured concrete in certain areas, but it's still not going to fix it. So we'd like to stop spending the money and looking for a bigger plan. Okay? Appreciate it.
Any other questions? I've got a couple of questions. Obviously the city and the county contract with the Humane Society for the animal services. We don't own the shelter. And there are other animal organizations in the county. What do you think the possibility is of us getting together as a group and talking about how together we can solve this problem?
It's a great question, because we had actually visited about this at our last board meeting, and before Chief King had talked to us about the capital plan that we're going to try to get into action. We talked about getting with the sheriff's department, getting with the city, and trying to find a location that's just far enough out of town, maybe within the ETJ, but to make enough land to where we're ready for the next 20 years. And that's not going to happen with the amount of money the city or the county is giving currently. I mean, we can't keep existing on it, so we need everybody to help out.
And see, you're touching on a point that we need to talk about, because the city and the county are contracting based on what the operational costs are for it,
Sure.
not the capital
Yeah, that's right.
replacement or improvement.
And that's
facility.
where I think
So we
all
gotta
everybody getting
figure out a way to
together.
resource that.
Yeah.
It's not a city project, not a county
No,
project.
not at all.
It's all of us
And
together. So
I think one way that we thought about is, you're right, but the city does own the land that we're in
Right.
right now.
Right.
So if there was some way that we could be deeded over that land, that would enable us to go out and purchase the land and start it and keep the fees closer to the same of what the city's paying right now until we have the growth. But for right now, we're kind of strapped because we don't own the building.
Yeah. Well, maybe we just need to, as a group, and y'all could maybe take the lead to organize a meeting where the city and the county and the other organizations y'all work with could get together and talk about some solutions.
Sounds great.
So, okay. That sound okay to everyone? All right. Well, thank y'all very
You
much.
bet.
And I'll entertain a motion to accept the report.
Move accept the report as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Pendleton, seconded by Mr. McClinton to accept the annual report from the Erath County Humane Society. Any discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries unanimous vote. All right, I'm going to call an audible at the line here with our agenda tonight. We've got Mr. David Watkins and Mr. Mike Ballou that are here that have an item about an agreement for utility service between, as the agenda says, David Watkins and the city of Stephenville. And sir, if you just come forward and let us know where you are with that request.
Thanks, sir. David Watkins, 107 Sandra Palmer. Recently, I purchased a lot on the edge of town. Actually, the city limits crosses right on one of my boundaries. And I had approached Mr. Williams about the possibility of maybe connecting to city utilities. We've talked about it some, and I think that there's some possibility there. What we talked about today in terms of numbers, it's probably going to be a fairly expensive proposition, but I still want to go forward, and I know there's some things that the council has to decide as far as, you know, if there's a way to even do it. But basically, based on the numbers that we talked about today, it more than likely will be cost prohibitive for me to even entertain it. So, I mean, I'm not going to say never or won't be able to, but as it stands now, I may possibly have to withdraw my request. I mean, I understand that y'all might go forward with, you know, any future, you know, situation that's similar to that, but based on that, I'm probably going to have to withdraw my request at this time.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming in and giving us that explanation tonight. Are there any questions for Mr. Watkins? Okay. Well, thank you very much. All right, so that basically will address item 9 on the agenda. And with that, I'm going to remove item 8 from the agenda to go back to committee consideration. I mean, this is an area where we as a council, based on your initial inquiry, I think is helping us to think about how to address this, and so we'll do that. But not with the sense of urgency that we had previously, but realize that this is a problem that we want to investigate and better understand about how to meet the needs of our community. So thank you. All right, so then we'll jump back up to item 7 on the agenda. We've got the Stephenville Type B Economic Development Authority Executive Director, Mr. John Hubbard, here tonight. So John, welcome.
I guess it's still good afternoon,
Yeah.
Mayor and Council. I tell you, it's been, hit the ground running, and I'm excited to be here. And as you know, with the new CETA, well, first of all, I'm John Hubbard. I'm the director of CETA. And I tell you what, the board has done a lot of work before I got here, and I'm really just pleased with what they've accomplished so far. And as we're growing, there are a couple of items that we'd like to have the council address, and it deals, and we're going to have more. We'll probably come back and have some revised bylaws, but right now, there are 3 items that are on the agenda. Conflict of interest and policy and verification, confidentiality statement, and operating policy. What I want you to do today is to consider the first 2, conflict of interest and the confidentiality statement. The other one's just there as an informational item. Like to get your feedback on that, and so we'll bring that forward at a later date. You've got the backup, but really, let me tell you why these are important and why these are first. It's important that we have, of course, a conflict of interest. Make sure that things are in order, they're the way that they should be. You've got the backup here where we talk about that. I can tell you that the board unanimously approved both of these items, A and B, the conflict of interest policy and the confidentiality policy, and I'm asking the council to go on and approve those as well. And I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, so let's take them one at a time.
Okay.
Council have any questions on the conflict of interest policy and verification?
On line 4, did you have?
Go ahead.
On line 4, it says excess benefit. How do you determine what excess benefit is?
Line 4.
Yeah, on the conflict of interest policy.
Okay.
In the
Probably about
introduction, I think.
In the introduction. Probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's a 6-word over excess.
Okay, I'm still not,
On page 7.
thank you, on page 7, okay, thank you.
Okay, page 3.
Page
3 on mine.
Page 3 in our.
Page 3, okay.
And it's the first sentence, 4th line of the purpose statement.
Oh, okay, great. Now I got you. 4th line, let's see. And I'm gonna ask Matt to come up here too, so I can lean on him. Okay.
Okay, what that's about is say that any of us in CETA, I could own a tract of land outside of town.
No, I understand, but what specifically is excess? Or employee or CETA might result in possible excess benefit.
So we need to define what that is. Let's see if we've got that in here on our definition.
I mean, are we talking benefit of $1, $100,000?
Any benefit at all.
Okay.
Is what it's basically stating, so that way there's no way, and where this has already came into action is a Windows partnership in the industrial park that we have out here, and we're trying to just clarify and make sure that we did have somebody come to town, that the board is, no person in the board is gonna have any influence or benefit any way at all in this, and he would excuse himself from any kind of discussion or any kind of decision making in it, because the sale of the property could benefit him.
But you understand my question though, is that what actually, and I think you've answered that, is anything at all.
Anything at all.
But with that in there, it makes me believe that there might be some kind of preconceived idea of how much somebody could actually benefit from. So
And they may be, need to be corrected, but.
I would drop it. I would take excess
The
out.
whole idea of it is not to have any kind of benefit.
I would drop that.
Well, what you can do, and you have this prerogative as a council, you can go in and approve it and strike
Yeah,
that.
understand.
Right, I would ask, was there a legal review of this? Because words matter, and sometimes words are added or deleted because they mean something in a court of law. And so is the word that he's bringing up here been?
Our legal advisor's not here tonight, but she did help us, Shelby Slauson, she did help us this whole policy, so
Okay.
I feel like it's something that,
Is that right, Brady?
Has Randy looked at that?
Where
I
a
don't-
word can be,
I mean, I agree with that as a general statement, yes, Mayor, but I don't,
Yeah.
in this situation, I'm sorry.
but in this one, right, because we weren't involved in the review.
Has our legal counsel reviewed it, Mayor?
Randy, have you reviewed it?
I've read it. I hadn't been asked to do much about it. I'm not real sure what my position is with CETA.
Okay.
I'll be glad to review this, and I understand that question.
Is it a fair question?
Fair question.
In my opinion may be incorrect, but anything that we approve as of legal nature subsequently should come through you first before we consider it, shouldn't it?
But honestly, I haven't, as I said earlier, haven't been clear what I'm supposed to do about CETA. That's the best answer I can give you, but
Okay.
if those are my instructions, and I understand your point, It's.
Well, I'm
well
asking
taken.
the question, to be honest with you, because I'm not sure.
Would it
I'm
be
not
easy
either.
for us to, table this
Yeah,
until?
It might.
Well, if you don't, then I would just simply make an amendment to strike that one word from the document, and move forward with it. If you think there's a time element, you need to go ahead and
Is there a
move forward
time?
with this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's a good question. Is there a time element sensitivity to this?
Yeah, there's not a time element.
Okay. Well, why don't we just do this from this point forward with these reviews, so that there is a legal review, by, Randy, you can take a look at it before, so we as a council, have that as a reference point.
I'll review these materials from now on, and I did read this, I looked at it. Honestly, I didn't catch that point, but I'll be glad to review them from now on. And
Okay.
Are you suggesting tabling this one now, the approval of this, or are you?
I think that would be a good policy move, really.
I think if he hasn't reviewed it, it'd be good to table it.
Ma'am?
I think if you haven't reviewed it, it'd be good to table it till you do review it.
Yes, ma'am.
I make the motion that we table this.
A second.
Do the same with confidentiality policy.
Yeah, we probably need to.
I'm
It's a
thinking,
matter of protocol.
I think so.
Okay, so why don't we, just back up to the agenda item. John, I've got a motion and a second on the table, on the floor that we need to address. I guess what I would, let's go ahead and vote on that. Or was the motion for item A or for the agenda item?
Well, I just made the motion for item A. You know, I do not mind adjusting that to consider both.
Okay, so
Because-
let me suggest this,
Mhm.
since all these are peas in a pod, why don't we just get a presentation from Mr. Hubbard this evening, and we can take no action on them, and then we can come back after legal review based on your presentation tonight.
Okay.
With that.
That sounds great.
Does that sound okay? So we won't table it in the sense of, we just won't take action tonight. We'll, have these as a presentation from the director, and then we'll refer it.
Yeah, that's.
I don't think you can do
Come
that,
back.
because the motion and the second have been made to table it, and I think you're gonna have to take action on that.
What if I withdraw the motion?
I don't think you can withdraw a motion to table, but you better ask our parliamentarian.
You can table it or do whatever you want to with it. Just instruct me to review it and review the CETA documents from now on, and I'll review this and have it ready for you next meeting or whenever you want me to have it ready.
Okay.
So to answer your question, I would go ahead and vote on tabling it, and we're, with the understanding we're gonna bring it back up at the next meeting.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, item 7A is tabled.
Is he not still gonna discuss it?
All right, so let's go ahead and, do we want to go ahead and provide Mr. Hubbard any other feedback on item A? The council's had a chance to review it. We're not going to take action on it, but if y'all got some feedback, we can do that at this time. So, does any council member have any comments they want to provide?
When my intention.
I've
to
got one
table-
real quick, Mr. Hubbard. To go along with it, I guess we've got like an abstention affidavit as well for those people to sign in the event that there's a need for them to abstain from the votes if they meet the requirements.
That's correct.
We need one or we have one?
We have one.
We have, okay. All right, any other comments on A? We'll move to B. Okay,
Well, item B, let me get back, lost my spot. Item B addresses a confidentiality statement, and I can tell you, as far as working in economic development, it's important that there are times that it's important that information that we're sharing as far as a new business or even an existing business that's looking at expanding into the area needs to be kept within the walls of the board or the council. And this item addresses that, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have on this one.
Quick question myself, Mr. Hubbard, I don't have any problems with safeguarding and double checks, but I guess all those meetings be conducted in closed session to begin with, correct?
Yes. The state statutes.
It's an exception in the open government code that allows us to have a closed executive session regarding economic development.
Yes, sir, that's right.
So, Mr. Hubbard, is there a time limit? So if a board, if a director, member of the board of directors rolls off, is there some kind of time limit imposed on them, 6 months, 9 months, after their service ends, before, or should there be?
Well, the plan says, what we have before you, that they signed it every year. But it really doesn't address after we, that is something good that we should probably look at.
Other questions? All right.
But let me just say this one thing on this. We are going to be coming, we will come back, but it's important, especially on this one, to pass something. We can come back and address the question on, you know, the time like that, their person ends their service with CETA on the board. But it's important that we have something in place that, if we can.
So you're asking us to approve the confidentiality statement tonight?
Yes, sir.
And there is a time element to this one that the
Yes.
others is not.
Yeah, we're working on some projects right now that it's important.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if it's acceptable to the council, I will, I mean, it sounds like you need to pass this confidentiality statement, but I will also review it, and on both of these items, I will confer with Mr. Hubbard and talk to him about problems, questions, if the council wants me to do that.
Okay.
And we'll be coming back. There will be other, with our bylaws, we'll be making some more revisions, and we'll come back. This is, I want to say it's a living document, but it really is a living document.
Well, we can always amend this
Yeah.
one. If you pass this one tonight, we can come back at the next meeting after I've talked and we've worked this out. And I guess y'all have a CETA meeting maybe before then too. And I'll get with Mr. Hubbard if that's what the council wishes for me to do.
Okay. Well, with that said, then I'll entertain a motion on item 7B.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve item 7B in our packet as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. McClinton, seconded by Mr. Harrison to approve the confidentiality policy as presented. Any discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that motion carries unanimous vote. And item C, you said, is for information only, so
Yes.
you got any further points you want to make on that?
No, all we wanted to do at this time was just to let you have the information. We're really asking for your input on it before we go on and
Okay, so any
address it.
input from the council on the operating policy on page 9?
You expect an equal emphasis on each of the three parts in the policy, or are you going to target existing businesses? I mean, are you going to target specific areas, or do you envision the three parts being equal there?
Right now, I would envision them being equal.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other points? I got one question. How do you feel this document helps you with your interface with the chamber and the city?
Well, it helps to, it's another tool that I can use to get my job done. You know, I've had many conversations with Mr. Harpool about this too. You know, it's important that well, really the structure of the council, CETA and myself, that we have certain parameters in which we can work. And this is just the very critical first step that helps me in my job.
Great. Any other questions for Mr. Coleman? All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, so we move now to item 10 on the agenda, and that, Mr. Bridges told me earlier this evening that we have a modification to this that's gonna have to take place, so we're not gonna take any action on this tonight.
Correct.
So this moves us to the planning and zoning portion of the meeting. And at this time, I'll open a public hearing to consider the request to rezone .215 acre land, lot 4, block 1, CVS at US Highway 67, addition City of Stephenville. And, Mr. Cullis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening. Members of the City Council, Noah Cullis, Director of Planning and Building Services. Here we are. As the Mayor said, this is a request by Mr. Greg Jackson LLC to rezone a .215 acre of land from retail and commercial business B2 district to multifamily residential R3 district for the purpose of building a duplex. We provided with you this evening an aerial photo showing the subject area at the top, and the bottom area is the brand new nail and spa salon that has just recently opened. We have just moving on to the zoning map. The request is to change that land use or the zoning for the subject area to multifamily R3, and you see to the north is already zoned R3 district, so that is in harmony with the surrounding neighborhood. I wanted to also show council that we have recently approved a minor plat that divided that parcel into 3 lots. It's this, I'm not sure our laser pointer is going to really show on that, but lot 4 is where the rezoning request is taking place. Here's some photos of the property. The fencing you'll see there is in front of that lot just to the northeast of the subject property, and to the other areas where that new nail salon has been built and developed and is opened. Since this application has come in, we have not received any comments either for or against this application request. We did notify all adjacent property owners of it within a radius. On June 15th, 2016, the Planning and Zoning Commission did meet and held a public hearing on this rezoning request to rezone the property from retail and commercial business district to the multifamily residential district, and voted on it to approve it with a unanimous vote, 10-0. And this concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions that you, Mr. Mayor, or members of the City Council may have for me at this time.
Okay, thanks, Noah. Any questions? Mr. Nix.
No, I'm curious, and help my memory. I know that we have R2 and R3 for multifamily.
Mm-hmm.
And why was this request for R3 instead of the R2? Is the use would the use be compatible with R2? Because that's if my memory is correct, that's a lower density which might fit better in that area instead of the R3, which allows, and you'll have to help my memory on what
Sure.
the R2 versus R3 allowances are, please, sir.
That's a very good question, Councilman Nix. You're right. B2 or R2 does allow for single family and also duplexes. The reason in this case that as staff, when we worked with the applicant, and the applicant is here this evening, is that if we were to zone that parcel to just R2, we would have a spot zoning, and we aren't allowed to do spot zoning, and the state of Texas doesn't allow us to do spot zoning, but we have R3 right across the street, which then makes it congruent, or we have a continuance of a zoning district. So it's not just a spot of R2 zoning.
Well, maybe not a good example, but I know we have some R2 and some R3 together in different areas of town, and I was just wondering if the use would prohibit it being R2. I know that to some people, R2 would be more compatible with the area and the neighborhood, et cetera, because R3, it allows what I would call an apartment complex or something like that. Is that correct?
It does. They do, that district does allow for single-family duplexes and multifamily or high-density residential, like an apartment or a condominium. In this case, though, if there was an existing R2 district nearby, we wouldn't have any issue with rezoning that next to it. But since there isn't any, but there is R3 across the street, we felt that was more compatible.
Okay.
And so I did suggest that to the applicant, and they did apply for that rezoning request.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Nolan? All right, thank you. At this time, I'll
You're
ask if anyone would like to come forward and speak in favor of the request. You may if you'd like to, sir.
All right. Feel a little important now.
Yeah.
I'm Greg Jackson, and we bought this piece of property to develop into a nail shop, which we've done, and it's a nice addition to the tax rolls of Stephenville, and we love this community. We searched all over Texas, to be honest with you, to put a real quality nail shop in, and we picked this community to do that. So most all the labor that I don't know. Please cut me off for if I go over the time. But we've used I'd say 95% of all the labor that's gone into this has been local labor, and Bill Cogburn behind me here was the general contractor on it. And we've used most all of our money's been spent right here in Stephenville. So our idea is to since I bought this, it's a lot. It's about an acre lot, and so I'd like to come down here and spend some time down here myself and some of the people that work for me. And so I decided to build a duplex, not an apartment complex, but a duplex. So that they could, we could have two instead of renting. I'd build my own place and come out and have a duplex type thing, which we had plans already drawn for a duplex, and that's what we're going to put in here as a duplex. So it's not going to be don't have to worry about an apartment complex. I don't have that much money. So anyway, that's what we entertain to do, and we're going to have we've really improved it. We put a really nice fence around the property and try to really improve so we could be a great neighbor, and that's what we want to be in this community, is a great neighbor, and join the city council, and we really like being here. So is there any questions that you have of
Any
me?
questions? Okay, well, thank
Okay,
you very
thank you,
much
Mayor.
for
Thank you, Council.
clearing that one question up, but more importantly, what
Yes,
you
sir.
said about looking all over the state of Texas and picking us. So we're pleased.
Yeah,
to
we
hear
looked
that.
at, the general manager I have running the shop we had her working for a while in Tyler, we had her working in Gainesville, we had her working in Kilgore, we had her working in East Texas some, and Abilene, Corsicana, and then she worked here. And so I said, all those, let's analyze it and pick which city we want to be in. And this is a city that kind of hands down won the award, I guess, not won the award, but this is where we wanted to be. So we urge everybody to come by. This is a commercial announcement now. I'll be arrested here in just a minute. No, but anyway, I would like for all you guys to come out and try us out and see what we have here. And so we had a sculpture person in Abilene come and did the whole place and some inside sculptures and stuff like that. So
Okay.
we really appreciate being here, and I want to compliment the police department while I'm here. Is that one night I got a call about 2 o'clock in the morning, and they said our back door was open, and I was in Fort Worth at the time. I run back and forth between Fort Worth and Dallas quite a bit, and so the back door blew open 2 o'clock in the morning, and the alarm company said, "You want to dispatch?" I said, "Yeah, we need to check it out." And then within just a few minutes, the police officer had his cell phone. He was talking to me and walked through and really did a fantastic job of securing the situation and making me feel at ease that we weren't being hijacked or something like that. So kudos to the Stephenville Police Department. I really appreciate that. So thank you, Mayor, and thank you, City Council, and please come to see us. We love to have you out there.
All right, well, thank you very much. Hope Mr. Hubbard was taking notes. All right. That's good news. All right, anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the request? Seeing none, I'll ask if anyone would like to speak in opposition to the request. All right, seeing none at this time, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion for ordinance 2016-008.
Move to approve.
For a second?
Second.
All right, a move by Mr. McClinton, seconded by Mr. Nix to adopt ordinance 2016-008, rezoning from retail and commercial business district B2 to multifamily district R3, 0.215 acres of land, lot 4, block 1, CVS at US Highway 67, addition City of Stephenville. Is there any discussion? Now we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous approval. Ordinance 2016-008. All right, now we'll move to the consent agenda, item 12. And I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Nix, seconded by Mr. McClinton to approve the consent agenda as provided. Any discussion? Now we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, they unanimously approve the consent agenda. Comments by the city administrator, Mr. Bridges.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank the directors and the staff for all the work they put into the July 4th festivities down at the park yesterday and during the parade. It was their usual good job, and I think we take it for granted sometimes that it's easy to pull off, but these guys have been planning this for months, and again, I appreciate what they do down there. Council, we had initially indicated a budget workshop for August 8th through 12th. I'd like to bring a change in date to your notice. August 1st through the 5th will be devoted to the budget workshop. Mayor, that's all I have at this time.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Bridges? All right, we'll move on to council members. Mr. McClinton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of things. Just want to say thank you to everybody involved with the festivities yesterday in any fashion, from the parade to the folks down at the park and the fireworks and the music show last night. It was just a great day of celebration. So I want to say thanks to everybody that had a hand in that in any way. And then a couple of weeks ago, there was an opportunity that was put on by Mr. Bridges and his team, organized a community cleanup day after the flooding events in late May and early June. And there was a lot of trash and garbage down at the park and along the trail that was going to have to be picked up by somebody, either city crews working overtime, contracted out, or whatever. And these guys got together and they organized a cleanup day with volunteers. There were some sponsors of that day, and I want everybody to know who they were. That was CH2M Hill, Allsup's HEB, the Taco Shop, Erath County Sheriff's Department. And to all of those, the sponsors of that day, I just want to say thanks for making it happen, because you did. And to Pat and his staff, everybody was involved. There were tons of city folks down there working that day. And Pat, you and your guys, thanks for making it happen. And to the volunteers that came out on a really sticky, hot Saturday morning and put some blood, sweat, and tears into cleaning up at the park and along the trail, I just want to say thanks for making it happen. That's what I've got, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you.
I want to reiterate what everybody said and thanking everybody for yesterday. It was a great event yesterday. Unfortunately, after the parade, there was a lot of trash on the square, so I wanted to give thanks to 3 special people who went and picked it up afterwards, and that's Mike Moncrief, Cliff Reese, and Freddie Martinez. So thanks for their community spirit and going and cleaning up the trash. And I also noticed, as I saw the media, and I told Jeremy earlier, if you haven't driven out that way, the median on 67 and South Loop, great job on that median, and a special thanks to Jesus Coronado of the Parks Department who got busy and fixed that median up. So, thank you.
I have nothing, Mayor.
Well, I'd also like to reiterate, you said everybody worked as far as the festivities yesterday, and how important that is, because that it brings about a very wholesome, very down-home type atmosphere that is indicative of who we are. And I think we always need to try to capture that. A little special for us because July 4th is also my wife's birthday, so that was part of the birthday festivities as well. And I got a chance to sample one of Jimmy Finney's funnel cakes. And my wife is a funnel cake connoisseur. And it would be wrong if I did not say that if you have the opportunity to stop by J. Finn's anytime it's open and grab one. So that's it.
So you're gonna help fund fireworks next year, is that what you said?
Oh, I don't know about that. It was great, y'all. Thanks, all of y'all.
Mr. Nix?
Mayor, I'm gonna piggyback on this just a little bit and take a left turn, which probably doesn't surprise you any. But I wanna go back to something Mr. Jackson said. We do have an outstanding police department, but we have an outstanding fire, EMS, street, water, you name it. The city is blessed with a group of outstanding people, and we, as a city council, would be lost without them. I assure you of that. And I want to reiterate what you said. They do an outstanding job. They take care of things. Yesterday was an example of that, and I think several of the officers and park and rec people that I saw yesterday. But we are greatly benefited by having the quality of people that we have working for our city. And it's a blessing to all of us. And thank you for coming here.
Yes, sir, thank you. I like being here. I love using the police department, but I hope I don't have to use the fire department.
I can tell you firsthand experience, they're just as good.
I'll have to watch the trucks if you don't get to.
Ms. Akron? Sure. Jerry?
No, you can have them out there.
I can have your towel, all right.
You're gonna take it anyway.
Doesn't matter,
Okay.
Jerry.
Well, I would be remiss if I just didn't echo what had been said about how great the day was, the great effort by the folks in the city. It is exceptional for us to realize that we as a community have what others have completely lost in communities, and just to be reminded of that yesterday in a special way is so important. It all starts with the family, and family-oriented events like that are what we saw. I'd also note that I was very pleased to see there were a lot of other neighboring communities that came to join us, which I think reiterates that we are a regional hub for this area, and that's something that we should celebrate as well. So, thanks everybody for great work and for loving this town the way you do, because we're all better because of it. The next item we've got on the agenda then is an executive session. And so I will at this time call us into executive session in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Law, Chapter D, Section 551-071A, consultation with attorney. Thank y'all for coming tonight.
Carly, you okay today?
I'm good. When did you get back?
Got back